haven't been to, but most of the cities that I experienced, I can compare against each other, and that's how we came up against this list here. It's going to include everything from affordability to transportation, overall experience, as well as the food, the people, and the culture. The full list of every city will be in the timestamps below in the description if at any point you want to skip to a specific place to hear what I have to say. Also, I would really like to hear your opinion on what you think of these cities that I've selected. First up, we're here at Rio de Janeiro. Known for Christ the Redeemer statue, this city has over 7 million people living in the metro area. People come here for Carnival, the beaches like Copacabana and Ipanema, also Sugarloaf Mountain. Some of the favelas are also very popular around the world because of how densely populated they are. If you love to dance, you've got to try samba. Rio is actually my favorite city in South America and one of my favorites in all of Latin America, mostly because of the landscape, the food, the culture, and just the overall experience that you can have here. Someone from Rio is known as a carioca. The people are a mix between African descendants, Portuguese, indigenous population, and other populations from around the world have also come here, so it's definitely a melting pot of people. The official language here is Portuguese, so it's not Spanish like most other Latin American countries. One of the benefits of choosing a destination like Rio is you're going to be able to save money by traveling here. Next up, we're headed to North America. This here is New York City. This is truly an amazing metropolis up here in North America, and every time I come here I say to myself, wow, what a truly vibrant city. There's just something about this place when you're walking around the streets of Manhattan. You feel it. Made up of 5 different boroughs that expand across New York State, Newark, New Jersey, and the surrounding areas. The total population is just under 20 million people in the metro area. The Statue of Liberty is actually one of the most iconic symbols in New York and even the United States. It was actually a gift from France. Skyscrapers here are impressive and make up the skyline that blows people's minds. If you do come here and you want entertainment, you gotta visit Broadway. Also, a walk in Central Park really is amazing. Times Square is definitely one of the most vibrant crossroads of the world. If you head out towards Brooklyn, you can go all the way towards Coney Island where they have some of the beaches. So lots of different variety and vibes out here, whether you're coming in the winter or the summertime. Next up, we're headed out to Europe. This here is Paris, France, which is actually the #1 most visited tourist city in the world, welcoming an estimated 44 million international tourists in 2022. Around 11.2 million people actually live here. Some things you'll want to know before visiting Paris: the Louvre Art Museum, which is where the Mona Lisa is, also going to the Palace of Versailles. The Eiffel Tower was constructed in 1889. Visiting the amazing cathedral on the mountain called Sacré-Cœur. Many people like to go to the Notre Dame Cathedral, although it is currently undergoing a rebuild and a restoration after the 2019 fire. And then there's also Montmartre. You will need around 72 to 96 hours if visiting here because it is quite an amazing place. And the only reason I'm giving you that timeline is because I'm assuming you're also going to visit other places in France. It is worth noting that Paris is one of the few places on earth that has a Disneyland. As you can see, it is quite the colorful and vibrant Disneyland. Then there's also a place that you should go just outside called Mont Saint-Michel. This is a beautiful castle right there in the tidal wetlands of northern France. It's about a 2-hour drive from Paris. Now we're headed out to Asia, to the most populated city on earth. This here is Tokyo, Japan, with 13 million people living in the city proper and then 37 million in the greater Tokyo area. Food here is life. There's also temples and shrines that you can visit. The language while you're here is going to be primarily in Japanese. Unlike most places that speak English a lot, here in Tokyo, Japanese is widely spoken only. Also known for its public transportation and the Shinkansen high-speed railway. Tokyo is known as one of the safest major cities in the world, also one of the most expensive in the world. People come here for the cherry blossom season, which is typically around springtime. And then they have vibrant nightlife in places like Roppongi and even Shibuya. For those of you looking to find nature, you must go out to Mount Fuji, which is about 2 hours away from Tokyo. And getting up to that snow-capped mountain can really be rewarding. The best time of year to visit Tokyo is probably going to be in spring or fall. Now for a bit of a change of pace, we're heading back out to Europe, this time to Barcelona, Spain. With an estimated metro population of 5.7 million people, the top things to do while here are go to the La Sagrada Familia, which is an iconic basilica. There's also Gaudi's influence. He was a famous artist who came from Spain along with Pablo Picasso. You'll also notice the Catalan identity, the old culture that exists. Head down to La Rambla to see what's going on down there on this famous tree-lined boulevard. The first time I ever went to Barcelona was in November, and I felt like that was the happiest, most friendly sunshine I had ever encountered. But you also must go to some of the museums, like the Museum of Contemporary Art, the National Art Museum of Catalonia, and the Picasso Museum, as we touched on before. If you love football, or soccer as Americans call it, you've got to check out FC Barcelona, one of the most successful clubs in all of football. And then you've got to come down here to the marina right here along the waterfront. Really a cool place to hang out, and they do have a cool museum nearby. Also going up to Montserrat, this beautiful religious sanctuary up against the mountain here. Now we're on our way to Italy for the first time. This is Rome, home of the Roman Colosseum, with a population of 4.3 million people. It sits at an elevation of 70 feet, even though it's inland, so it's a very flat area out here. Ancient Rome was once considered the heart of the Roman Empire, so you're going to get a lot of that history here. And then you have places like Piazza Navona, exploring around the old Parthenon, Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, and then of course trying some of the Italian cuisine. My favorite thing to do while here in Rome is take it slow and enjoy the gastronomy of the culture. Also, they have the Vatican in St. Peter's Basilica. If you get a chance to check that out, I think that's a must-see along with the Colosseum. Another really cool thing about visiting Rome is you're within 2.5 hours of Florence by high-speed train. You're also 2.5 hours away from Naples by high-speed train. So it's really a central location to home base out of if you want to see the southern and even the interior middle parts of Italy. I would suggest 72 hours here in Rome because most of the tourist activities are all within a close walking distance. Now we're headed to the second most visited city in the entire world this year is Bangkok, Thailand. We've made several videos across Thailand and Bangkok. With an estimated population of 11 million people, the popular things to do are try the street food, which is going to be all around, like tom yum soup or green papaya salad. Also, checking out the temples and the Wats, like Wat Arun. There's the Grand Palace, which is very popular for the Thai king's residence for over 150 years, taking a boat up and down the Chao Phraya River, riding a tuk-tuk down Sukhumvit Road, or going to Chinatown. And then, of course, the nightlife in Bangkok. For those of you who have seen Hangover or Hangover 2 or 3, you know Bangkok really gets going with the parties and the nightlife. And getting up there on a rooftop bar at sunset, going into the evening, really something to do out here. Bangkok is a city full of hustle and bustle, and it might not be for everyone because it is so congested and it really is loud along these places, especially if you check out the backpacker area like Khao San Road. But I do highly recommend at least stopping here for 48 hours. But most people spend anywhere between 7 to 10 days just chilling out here, because this is where you can find affordable luxury. Speaking of luxury, now we're headed out to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. With a metro population of over 3 million people and many tourists coming here each year, this is one of the fastest growing cities in the world at its current pace. Known for its famous skyscrapers like Burj Khalifa, desert safaris, going out there and exploring what's out there. The Palm Jumeirah, which is an artificial island with luxurious hotels and entertainment, restaurants and all that out there. We also have arts and culture being developed with Expo 2020 the Lost Chambers Aquarium out here at Atlantis Hotel. And then if you're really into museums and you want to learn more about the future of Dubai, you've got to go to this amazing Museum of the Future right here in downtown Dubai with Arabic calligraphy written on the outside, engraved in quotes. And then you also have the Madinette, which is actually next to the world's first ever 7-star hotel, Burj Al Arab. Dubai is an extremely safe city with very low crime rates, so don't feel alarmed if you have any hesitations about coming here because of safety. They also have a very efficient metro system with a tram that goes right through the heart of Dubai, also out to the Atlantis Hotel, which we talked about previously. So getting around Dubai, very easy, also modern and futuristic. Next up, we're headed to London. This here is one of the most popular cities in the world for tourists. It's considered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that everyone should experience with cultural diversity. The weather can be a bit damp and rainy though, so take that into consideration when arriving here. But people like to go to these British pubs, hang out on the Thames River, also visit some of the historic landmarks like Buckingham Palace, the House of Parliament, the Big Ben, the big Ferris wheel right along the river called the London Eye. And they do have high-rises being built here like the Tower of London and many other skyscrapers. There's also the West End theater parks like Hyde Park, Regent's Park, Greenwich Park, and then riding a double-decker bus is very popular here, heading over to places like Piccadilly Circus, which I would say is very similar to Times Square in New York. Now, one thing I would like to say, if you come here, I recommend at least 3 to 4 days because the public transportation is elite. While here, you can check out around the Marina Bay area, go over to places like Boat Quay, Clark Quay, check out the Singapore Zoo, which is world famous, considered one of the best in the world. They also have the Gardens by the Bay, which are these big, tall towers that have gardens all around here. Singapore also considers itself to be a city inside of a garden, a very green-friendly place with the cloud forest. And they have the Ferris wheel, which gives you great views overlooking much of Singapore. If you get a chance, definitely go up here and check this out. To the north of Singapore is going to be Malaysia, and to the south is going to be Indonesia. Many different islands just off the coast are belonging to Indonesia, so you can easily get around to Malaysia or Indonesia from here. And then just checking out around some of the gardens, like this here at the Botanical Garden. And then from Singapore, now we'll head over to Cairo, Egypt, one of the most historical places that people want to go. See the pyramids of Giza. This is also one of the most populous cities in the world with a population of 22 million people sitting along the banks of the Nile River. Here you can check out the Egyptian Museum, Islamic culture. You can also go over to the Khan El Khalili Bazaar. That's a wild place to go. Like I said, we did make a video of this and the bazaar if you wanted to check that out. They also have the Coptic Cairo, which is a Christian district. And then so much culture and religion here to understand about the history, how it's changed and come and gone from the Egyptians of ancient world to the modern day Egyptian people. And the weather here is very hot, so keep that in mind. It is a barren desert in the most areas around here, but they are bringing in trees and plants with these modern farming technologies in some of the new cities like New Cairo and the new capital. But certainly people are coming here for these pyramids, so do cut out around 3 to 4 days for exploring Cairo and then heading on to some of the other places around Egypt, because there is a lot to see here. And from Cairo, we're headed back to the United States. This here is Miami, Florida, known as the capital of Latin America by some. Here you'll find many different beaches such as South Beach, Miami Beach, the Art Deco district. You also have Cuban influence in Little Havana. You have the Wynwood malls. The climate here is tropical. It's very close to the Bahamas actually. You can take a ferry from Miami to Bahamas in around about an hour and a half if you really wanted to get over there. Also, people like to go to Key West, another popular place, doing a tour around Biscayne Bay and all the mansions where the rich people live. But yeah, Miami has a population of around 6 million people now, and it's very popular, growing around the world with people who really want to come hang out and live that Miami lifestyle. So the prices are going up and it's becoming one of the more expensive cities to actually visit. I suggest 3 to 4 days while visiting Miami out to those many different islands in the Aegean Sea. I would say all you really need to visit Athens is going to be around 48 hours, although it is a must-see. It's just not one of those places you need to spend too much time to see what's here. They do have a reasonably effective transportation system that was built for the Athens Olympics. Next up, we're headed to Toronto, Canada, home of the Toronto Blue Jays. With a population of 6.5 million people, this is Canada's largest city, home to the CN Tower, which was actually one of the tallest buildings in the world up until 2007 when it was passed by Burj Khalifa in Dubai. While here, you can head down to Niagara Falls and check out those majestic falls. Also in the springtime, you will see the cherry blossoms, which are popular, walking around the parks, going out to the Toronto Islands. I would say 3 days in Toronto is more than enough to walk around Yonge Street and Dundas. And I would highly recommend taking a water taxi or getting out on Lake Ontario. The winters in Toronto can be very cold and brisk. You won't be able to get out on the lake, but by the time summer comes around and ice is melted, getting out there on that water is certainly an experience to be had because of the skyline, the beautiful skyline they have. Also checking out the zoo, one of the best in the world. Now we're headed to Hong Kong, China. This is actually an SAR of China, which means Special Administrative Region. One of the most densely populated places on Earth with a population of 7.4 million, but they really do cram them in there on Hong Kong Island and Kowloon on the mainland China side. Some popular things to do are check out the Symphony of Lights show that takes place here nightly along Victoria Harbor. They also have